Hello everyone, this is Crypto BitLaw, here with another blockchain legal brief, and today we're going to discuss how the DOJ recently charged a former OpenSea executive with NFT insider trading. But before we dive in, please, if you like the content, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And with that said, let's jump right on in. Alright, so this is a first-of-its-kind style case, and as we can see here, CoinDesk reports that the U.S. charges ex-OpenSea exec with NFT insider trading. Department of Justice officials say it's the first time they've pursued an insider trading charge involving digital assets. They say, Nate Chastain, the OpenSea staffer who quit the NFT marketplace after an insider trading scandal in September 2021, is now in the crosshairs of U.S. authorities. Chastain was charged Wednesday with wire fraud and money laundering in connection with trading on confidential information about which non-fungible tokens were about to be featured on the OpenSea homepage, the Department of Justice said in a press release. The two charges each carry a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. The Justice Department alleged in the release that Chastain flipped, quote, dozens of NFTs after choosing to feature them on the website, selling them for 2 to 5 times what he initially paid. Chastain hid his fraud by making these purchases using anonymous digital currency wallets and anonymous OpenSea user accounts, according to the Justice Department. Quote, NFTs might be new, but this type of criminal scheme is not, U.S. Attorney Damian Williams said in a statement. As alleged, Nathaniel Chastain betrayed OpenSea by using its confidential business information to make money for himself. Today's charges demonstrate the commitment of this office to stamping out insider trading, whether it occurs on the stock market or the blockchain. For its part, OpenSea said it quickly moved to investigate Chastain once it found out about his actions, and then asked him to resign. Quote, when we learned of Nate's behavior, we initiated an investigation and ultimately asked him to leave the company, an OpenSea spokesperson told CoinDesk. His behavior was in violation of our employee policies and in direct conflict with our core values and principles. Chastain, 31, is working on a new NFT project, Oval, as CoinDesk reported in March, based on investor materials. The Justice Department said Chastain was arrested this morning in New York. More NFT-related actions are likely coming. Attorneys believe Chastain's arrest signals the onset of a new wave of enforcement actions related to NFTs. Max Dillendorf, a New York City-based attorney whose practice is focused on cryptocurrency and NFTs, said the arrest sends a, quote, very, very loud message to the industry that federal regulators now have NFT transactions in their crosshairs. Quote, we know that there is a lot of insider trading in the industry, in NFTs, and in decentralized finance, Dillendorf told CoinDesk. So the question for projects and project promoters is, are you really disclosing all of the information to the users or the community? A lot of the projects and a lot of the market participants are walking down the edge of a knife, Dillendorf added. They get pulled in for an audit or get subpoenaed by any of these federal regulators. I mean, it's so easy for regulators to build a money laundering case, and it's so hard to defend against one. While a coming regulatory crackdown could spook the industry, Moish Pels, a New York-based NFT lawyer, told CoinDesk that consumer confidence in NFT marketplaces could improve with stricter regulation. Quote, if consumers are going to have confidence in the NFT marketplace, it's important for them to know that they are not being taken advantage of by insiders using confidential information to their advantage, Peltz said in an email to CoinDesk. It may be difficult for consumers to have that confidence given the pseudo-anonymous nature of the blockchain transactions. The U.S. government has proven again that they are extremely sophisticated in terms of building legal cases surrounding blockchain transactions, Peltz added. In addition, Peltz noted that, quote, the legal guardrails applicable to the NFT marketplace are still emerging, and the Chastain case appears to be an important test case to test whether the government is sending a message to insiders who may seek to misuse confidential information. It is now clear that the U.S. government is not ignoring NFT marketplaces. Insiders should act accordingly, he said. Alright, now for those of you that are wondering, here is a copy of the press release from the DOJ in the Southern District of New York. That's the district that covers Manhattan, Wall Street, pretty much all the biggest financial crimes are brought out of the Southern District. I don't know if you ever watched the show Billions. It focused on the Southern District of New York, right? It's the big boy district in terms of federal jurisdictions for bringing these types of actions. And this press release pretty much just gives a general overview of what we just read in that article. But even more interesting, here is a copy of the indictment that was filed against him. So it lists all the charges against the defendant, Nate Chastain, and as we could see, they didn't charge him with any specific securities-related violation. They got him in more general crimes as enumerated by the U.S. Code. As we could see here, he was charged with count 1 is wire fraud, right? Now, they actually refer to his actions as NFT insider trading in the indictment, but as we scroll down, we could see count 2 is money laundering. Okay, so we have wire fraud and money laundering. All right, so picking up, I scrolled down to the bottom of this indictment, and as we could see, the only 2 crimes that he was charged with were money laundering as count 2 and wire fraud as count 1. And I can tell you, as a former prosecutor, you know, to my knowledge, there's no crime of NFT insider trading. They just kind of try to frame it as NFT insider trading to get this narrative going, to disseminate through all the different media rags in an effort to try to get this guy and his case to serve as a warning for others. And so, I mean, we know that there's no crime of NFT insider trading. I mean, NFTs are a relatively new phenomenon, all things considered, but what the government does in these cases, as I alluded to earlier, is they get these general more open-ended crimes like money laundering and wire fraud, where the language of these types of crimes, of the types of activities that would actually encompass and fall within the purview of these statutes that define these crimes, wire fraud and money laundering. I mean, there's such open-ended and broad statutes with such broad language that you better believe the government would not, the federal government in particular, would not bring these charges unless they knew they could knock him down and lock up these charges for wire fraud and money laundering and apply them to the facts of this case and this defendant's actions and actually get him in the bag for this, or at the very least, you know, through the process of discovery, make him realize, like, hey, we've got you dead to rights, you know, take a plea deal, you know, plead guilty, and we'll try to cut you a deal on sentencing. And so, interesting case. I think it's good to hash out that, you know, no, there's no NFT insider trading statute or anything like that, but if you engage in that type of fraud, you know, main word being fraud right here, an intentional misrepresentation designed to deceive others for one's personal advantage. That's not the exact language in our statute down here in my jurisdiction. It's a little bit different, but it's a general, you know, we all kind of know what fraud is in a general sense, and arguably that's what this guy was doing, right? And money laundering, I think that might be a little bit tougher, but I could see how they could get it. We can actually do a little diving into the money laundering statute. Let's see, Title 18 U.S. Code, Section 1343. Let's see if we can't pull up this statute and see what money laundering is, according to the United States. Okay, so reading through the indictment as it pertains to money laundering, count 2, we could see they state right here, involve proceeds of specified unlawful activity as defined in 18 U.S.C. Section 1956, subpart C7. And so that's what they're trying to stick him with. So let's go right over here. What do we have? 18 U.S.C. Section 1956, laundering of monetary instruments. Let's scroll down to subpart C. So here's A. I think this was B, penalties. Where's C? We're getting there, It's right around here. Almost. C. The term knowing that the property involved in the transaction represents proceeds from some form of unlawful activity. So if they can get him with proceeds from unlawful activity, These are actually the definitions of this section, so we could probably get a more general overview of what it is. Whoever, knowing that the property involved in a financial transaction represents the proceeds of some form of unlawful activity, conducts or attempts to conduct such a financial transaction which involves the proceeds of specified unlawful activity. So, I mean, this is so broad. The way I'm reading it here, it transmits a monetary instrument. If you use any proceeds derived from an illegal activity and you transmit it or transmit a monetary instrument, I mean, they have room to prosecute you for money laundering here. You know, that's how these statutes are designed. So I hope you guys enjoyed your little legal analysis lesson for the day, with the caveat that none of this is legal or financial advice. Please don't engage in any type of activity that was mentioned or listed in this article or the indictment or anything like that. It's just informational purposes only, as we all know. But interesting case, as I said earlier, I think that while there's no statutes on the book that deal directly with NFT insider trading or crypto insider trading or anything like that, they could use other general statutes like fraud, wire fraud, money laundering in order to nail down these defendants and pretty much put a barrel over them and get them to succumb to a plea deal or actually bring the cases to trial, because these statutes are so broadly written that more often than not, a lot of the nefarious activities that a lot of these scammers and grifters are engaging in the blockchain scene would fall within the purview of these statutes. So, with that said, you know, there's no securities law violation or anything mentioned here because, as we know, these things, there's no real schema or framework to define these cryptos or NFTs or anything like that as securities, although Gary Gensler is trying his hardest to do so. But interesting case nonetheless, and I think, as was noted in this article, that there are certainly, this is going to be the first of many. There's going to be certainly many more of these types of cases meant to serve as a warning shot for those that would otherwise seek to engage in this type of nefarious activity. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this content. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. And with that said, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video.